Yes, we're dodgy. Oh, are we on?
We are.
Hello, everybody. It's Andy from Snow Camps Europe with Paul Simpson from the Ski Instructor Academy here in Kaprun, Austria, with another podcast. And given the time of year, we are doing a little bit of a look back over the winter. Bit of a review of winter 21-22.
Yep. Ended up not as bad as many thought.
Ended up being very, very busy.
No.
I've been busy.
Yeah,
you've had me working 6 days a week.
Yeah. No, it's been busy. But what I mean is, tourist-wise, it was quite quiet for December, January. It started to pick up in February as people got a little bit of confidence. Then came Omicron 2.0, whatever. And then masks were reintroduced and stuff. But generally, it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. Obviously, we started in the November when the courses all started, and after 2 weeks we went into a 3-week lockdown, and we thought, oh, here we go again. But luckily that only lasted 3 weeks, and then when we reopened...
We got through the end.
Yeah.
Got through the end. And it was a bit of a... it was weird because I was cross-country skiing up until 18th of March, in the valley, which is unusual, especially considering actually the snow was terrible this year. I would have said not good this year.
Well, it's a funny one because if you look at the accumulation of snow, and currently it's exactly the same as it was 2 years ago, but the last year there was about a metre more. But what seemed to be the main theme of this year was it would snow, but it was so windy that snow didn't really land. Yeah. And then the other thing was in December we had 15 days of snow, and then on the 16th day it rained. And it rained all the way up to 2,200 metres. So that really deteriorated the lower slopes. And then any snow that has fallen since then hasn't really penetrated that base.
Right.
So like the top half of the Maiskogel has been rock hard from start to finish, where the bottom half, which has been in the warmer temperatures, has been pretty much soft and sloppy all season.
Yeah. So all told, it was a bit of a different season. But from the bookings, from what came in around normal tourism and that, it could have been worse. January is definitely a big trough this year. I felt that the hotels were really struggling in January period. But then, as you said, as it picked up towards February and into March and heading now into Easter, it's been relatively strong. Obviously, again, because of the snow, the glacier gets the advantage because people will start booking the glacier areas, and it makes it a bit more busier up there. From a course perspective, surprisingly, I mean, we thought we'd be running at maybe 50% of what we normally get. But actually, all told, I'd say, well, from the level 3, like Landis 1 up, that has actually surpassed the normal numbers, which is unusual. So even we're in a plus. From the level 1 and 2, I'd say we'll probably only end up about 20% lower in numbers than we would normally have. But that said, because we've got courses elsewhere, the numbers actually are plus. When you additionally add Canada, France and places like that, then actually it's in probably plus 10%. So there's still many people doing ski and board instructor courses at level 1 and 2. That's for certain. And I think that people, because of the hotel that we used, especially for the longer courses, COVID actually didn't interrupt it in any way because they had their own atmosphere, they had their own bar, because it's like a place that can equip for 60 people and it's got a bar. It meant they could create their own parties, and therefore they didn't miss the sort of disco bound bar style thing as much as they would have done.
And I think up until the February holidays in the village, because there was the curfew, there was the 10 o'clock that eventually got extended to 12 o'clock, and then it got totally relaxed. For the start of the season, there wasn't a great atmosphere in bars. It was nice. You sit in a bar at a table, you get table service, and the music was on, but there was no real buzz about the place. And then that did kind of come in through the very busy periods, because a lot of the people here at half term, even though there's a lot of families, there was also a lot of younger people, groups of adults and whatnot, and that boosted that atmosphere. Although looking at where we are now, and this is obviously coming out at the end of the season, but it looks like we're about to have another change of restrictions that might see that tighten down again on Wednesday.
But again, it's what do you expect when you've got such an infectious thing going around, and you just pack people now with no masks on back into just full party mode.
And the buses as well. The buses the last 3-4 weeks have been absolutely rammed. But opening the doors and people falling out because no one else can get in. So it is back to sardines.
Which is weird because, as you know, we had COVID. We had three injections and then COVID. But after COVID, just when we're sort of making these podcasts, I then caught a weird flu-style thing that was going around from our course participants. And I have to say that was 10 times worse than COVID, which is weird. Now, I know, don't get me wrong, I obviously got...
That's probably because you've had 3 jabs.
Well, I had 3 jabs and I got the Omicron version, which is milder. So I get COVID is a very serious issue. But this flu bug that was going around, that turned into bronchitis, chest infection. I had to have my first dose of antibiotics for 10 years or something. I don't like taking antibiotics, but I had to, in the end, take them. And that was far, far worse. And that's just the normal, of course, now. Because I think as well, you stop gelling your hands as much, you're not wearing a face mask. So now you're susceptible just to the normal strains that have been flying around. But that was the first time I was sick in 2 years.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's definitely been an increase in people licking each other's faces at après-ski over February and into March. It's very evident. Very evident.
Well, I haven't been licking any faces at après-ski.
You don't go to après-ski. That's why.
Après-ski. That is very, very true. Yeah.
But it's still looking busy now as we're at the what week 20th did we say of March? So middle coming to the end of March. It's still busy up there. There's still plenty of people
Easter
about.
will be horrendous because it's going to be the only place open.
Yeah, that's the thing, because Easter's late and most of the lower resorts will have suffered from the heat because it is very warm at the minute. Most of them are due to shut around the 17th and 18th. One ski area in Upper Austria actually closed last weekend, which was 3 weeks earlier than they would normally. Now, there was a lot of... It kicked off about it big time because they had 2.5 meters of snow, perfect conditions. All of the ski clubs and the race teams would normally train there. They've now got nowhere to train. They've got to schlep it to another area. But that was blamed on COVID and that it wasn't financially viable for them to stay open for the remainder of the season, which I think was just an excuse. They wanted to close early. So the ski school there are now having to take their groups who stay on that mountain to another resort every day, which is bonkers.
That's the great beauty of being here where we are, isn't it?
Yeah, open. And the glacier this year, they're not closing it until the middle of July this year. We're going all the way through to the middle of July. Now, again, we've said this on the podcast. After Easter,
forget it.
There'll be no one here other than locals, and we'll all rush out on Big Powder Days. And other than that, nobody except for a few race teams will be up there. And once we get after the end of May and the snow has stopped falling, it's not worth going up there.
No. Very, very, very difficult conditions. Which brings us on to summer.
Yeah.
Because it's knocking on the door there. And the summer, obviously for us this year, we're all booked and ready to go. Flights are all sorted for Argentina. We've obviously seen a surge there in bookings, and I expected that after obviously 2 years and people not been travelling. And I think a lot of people use that Argentinian course as an excuse to do a little bit of pre-travel or after travel, then come and do the course for 4 to 6 weeks, and then either travel a bit more around the place. So certainly we've seen very busy early bookings on the Argentinian course, where we do level 1 and level 2 and 3 now. So that will be exciting just to get back there. And as they had such a bad year last year down in Argentina, I'm really crossing my fingers that it'll swing around and be a better year.
But bad as in with snow?
Snow, yeah. It wasn't a good snow year. So I'm hoping it's going to be generally a better snow year down in South America. And equally, we've got our courses starting in New Zealand. With Dean at Rookie Academy as well, which should be really interesting. I don't know whether I'll get down there before Argentina. I might do. So the Southern Hemisphere is looking good. I mean, New Zealand's also looking like it's going to get open and they're going to change and relax their rules and regulations. The only issue there is they've never really had COVID there.
No.
So I think when they do get it, they're going to get a bit of a shock because it's going to the numbers are just going to skyrocket really fast. Now they're going to go into panic mode and think, oh, we need to lock down.
Lock down again, yeah.
When actually the best thing you can do now is probably to get as much herd immunity as you can.
Especially if
with
they've
the
all
milder
had the
forms.
vaccines again.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Argentina, I'm sort of like 3 million % confident that there's going to be no issues down there because, I know a lot of Argentinians and they are in full swing and the Omicron numbers are really high, but they're not having any issues with that. They're just getting on with it now down there. They have to. Their economy can certainly not stand any more lockdown. So for me, it's a safe option.
What about looking beyond Argentina and New Zealand, the ski show?
Oh, I haven't even thought of that.
Because it's on again, isn't it? They've said it's on. That one that you went to.
The Birmingham one?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
gonna run again.
I don't know whether we will consolidate, and if it goes ahead in London, we'll consolidate and put certainly 80% budget-wise there. Whether we set up a small intro 1-by-1 stand or something in Birmingham just for the sake of it, I don't know. The problem with shows like that is obviously it's all the extra cost of the hotel, somebody going down there, somebody manning there and all that sort of stuff. And obviously last time they tried to run the two two exhibitions at the same time, they were almost back to back. If you remember, I was saying, God, they're going from one to another, without any break, which suited me in the sense of flying, I suppose. But for people, customer-wise, it didn't make much sense because you're not going to get the same customers at both.
We said that we didn't think most people wouldn't go to both. You'd go to one or the other, and therefore both of them would be smaller shows than having one big one.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm in meetings this week coming with all the sales and marketing. So when I'm there, I'll find out all the juicy gossip and see. Because what is starting off again, which is good, is more the colleges and university sort of gap shows and things like that, where they invite you down to talk about things there. So that's more appropriate, I think, for that audience of gap year audience. Obviously, for our older audience that comes in, we get a lot of people come and take a sabbatical from work or retirement, doing ski instructor courses. Funny enough, a lot of them come more through YouTube and the podcast, actually, that older market, than the younger market tends to come through the web page and social media, such as Instagram. But yeah, I think I'll have to update you on the exhibition because I don't have the finger in that pie at the minute, so I'll have to find out.
And at what point will next winter's courses be on the website?
Ooh, they're on now. They're all done. Oh no, they're already heavily booked. What's interesting is the most booked course, I suppose is quite obvious, Japan. Because because obviously what's happening with Brexit. So that course starts on the 22nd of October here in Austria, which is weird because you think Japan. No, the reason it's in Austria is because there's no snow in Japan. So don't let companies trick you into sending you out to Japan to do your ski instructor course when there's actually no snow there. And normally not till at least the second week of December, if not the first week of December, maybe. But yeah, there's no snow. So we prefer to be somewhere where we can guarantee snow. And therefore you can train, you can actually improve in your skiing than being on a 100-meter bit of whatever. So yes, out in Austria first on the 22nd of October, and anybody who is a little bit below standard will even come out a week or two before that. So we're talking really early in October this year in Austria for the ski courses. And then departing Austria, I think on the last day of November to fly to Japan then to work for the season. And I expected that to be heavily booked because of Brexit. And it is heavily booked with English people.
And also, hasn't Japan been closed to outsiders this winter?
Yeah,
is
it's
that right?
been basically shut again.
So again, we're looking at two or three seasons worth of people who want to go to Japan next year.
We're desperate to get out there. So I think that will be pretty much booked out very, very quickly. And then, yeah, I mean, the rest of the stuff's, it's interesting how busy it is for next year. I think people are definitely coming out of the sort of COVID mindset and are pretty confident now that they can get their life back into normality and be pretty sure that they can actually plan. And I think that was one of the big things with COVID. People just couldn't have a plan, could they?
Yeah.
They were always a bit like,
Everything was changing,
shouldn't I?
yeah.
And, you know, so it's looking very, very promising. And yeah, all the courses are up there, all the summer courses, all the winter courses, and the summer courses for 2023 are up because it's just so busy at the minute. So yeah, it should be a bumper season next season. Yeah, and always changes in the pipeline. I mean, certainly from a company point of view, we're thinning down the courses again because now that we're sort of settled and COVID's done and all those transfers and all those people who had to come back and repeat things are out the way, we can get back down to some sort of normality with the courses at the minute because everything was just constantly crossing over, wasn't it? Yeah. We had people arriving, departing. It was, whereas normally we don't have that. We just have like set dates coupled through the season and then it's done. It's simplicity. So yeah, but yeah, you can stay tuned because we're probably going to do a podcast about all the goings on in a ski and board instructor course, so you get an idea from the inside and see what actually and hear what actually goes on. But yeah, that was this winter. Next summer's looking good. And before long, people will be focusing on, like you say, the next exhibitions and then
it's not that well, when this goes out, we've still got a couple more weeks of the season card here, and then, well, the winter's not far away, is it?
Exactly. When you're in a glacier resort and then you ski this summer in the South America or somewhere, then it's back-to-back seasons. Yeah. There's barely a few weeks where you're not on snow, you know, and that's why I keep telling people when they tell me they've done 30 or 40 weeks skiing, you go, well, yeah, it's still a beginner level because you'd be surprised how much people can do in a year when they're doing back-to-back season, you know.
A lot of days.
Happy Easter.
Bye for now.
Ciao for now.